In this episode of the Level Up Lounge, we are joined by Jason Griffin of Tiger Rock Martial Arts, where he's going to share some of his secrets of running one of the most successful martial arts schools in the entire country. Stick around, you do not want to miss this.
You're listening to the Level Up Lounge podcast.
Level up.
Level up. Level up. Level up. Level up. You're listening to the Level Up Lounge podcast.
What's up, and welcome to the Level Up Lounge. This is your host, Adam Kiefer, and I'm really excited for you guys to be joining me today because we have Jason Griffin from Tiger Rock Martial Arts in the house. If you guys don't know who he is running a hugely successful martial arts school right now. He is amazing with his branding. His staff training is really fun to watch, and he's got a really, really successful staff under him as well. And I'm just really excited for him to share his secrets with you guys and what he's doing to make himself stand out amongst the competition. So he's going to give you guys some great insight. And I do want to give you guys a little warning. When I was recording the interview, I had to do it in my car this time, so I apologize because the audio quality is less than what you're used to in the Level Up Lounge. Definitely just pay attention to the message, because the message is going to help anyone that's an instructor or a martial arts school owner just to be able to better themselves and better their business. And then right after the interview, we're going to jump into our punch in the face segment. And I'm going to give you guys a little punch in the face that I actually received in the past couple weeks. I've started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right now, and I had something funny and humbling at the same time happen to me, and I want to share that with you guys. I think it's a really great lesson for anyone that's a martial artist or even a black belt martial artist. So you guys will definitely want to stick around for that story. But right now, let's jump into it with Jason Griffin. So we are excited to have Jason Griffin on the show from Tiger Rock. If you guys haven't heard of him, he's running a super successful school, doing a lot of things that I love and I wish more martial arts schools would do. How you doing today, Jason?
Doing fantastic, man. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on the show. We're really excited to have you. For the people that aren't familiar with you, can you just give us a little background of your martial arts training? So also maybe when you opened your school and everything and how long you've been running it?
Yeah, so I started martial arts after a failed baseball career at the massive age at 11 years old. So I started when I was 11. I'll be 43 this next week. I've been training for that whole length of time. I started in Tuscaloosa, Alabama with my instructor, and then I moved here to Jackson, Mississippi to start my location. I moved here on my 22nd birthday, so I moved out of my parents' house, out of the state, to a town, and took over a location that was in our organization at that time. So this last week at our World Championships, I got my 8th degree black belt, so that was a pretty cool gig for me right there, and that's been about it. I've opened up 5 locations. I've opened up 2 here in Mississippi. I've opened up 1 in Atlanta, and I've opened up 2 in some suburbs of Denver, Colorado. So just kind of, I guess, as a franchise, I've had a chance to help some of my students do the same thing that my
That's amazing. You're killing it, man. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. Now, one thing that I've been super impressed with just following you on Facebook is the branding of your school. Every time I see you post something on social media, like the brand is cohesive. All the posts go along with the look of the brand. In your opinion, I know a lot of martial arts schools might be missing this, but how can other schools create a brand identity and make it cohesive and more well-known, sort of like what you're doing with your schools?
Yeah, so, the nice thing, honestly, for us is that you get to kind of see a product of, or you're looking at a product of, 35 years of our organization. Like, honestly, looking back, you can see all the mistakes that were made and how we would kind of go different directions until we finally kind of came on to a franchise model to where now everything is, like you said, it's the same thing. It's like, if you own a Starbucks, you're not allowed, if you run it, Starbucks isn't allowed to change their colors and things like that whenever they want to. So for us, it's really been easy because most of this stuff has come down through the corporate office for me. So I get to look good. I get to spend time training and preparing classes and things like that instead of having to go out and create that brand. Now, I think as far as like the image and branding is concerned, I've always thought like one of my jokes for a lot of my friends is like, if they do something funny, I'm like, all right, dude, the 80s club, they want their martial arts school back, right? It's so funny that like sometimes they haven't came out of that. I always wanted to do cool stuff. I know that I'm getting older right now, but like, I want to go to cool places to eat. I like, restaurants that are cool. I like to go to sporting events that are cool and things like that. And I thought like, sometimes like, martial arts, like we don't really kind of have that cool factor. So I always try to put myself in the perspective of what my clients thought about for me and what would they like, who would they like to be with, who would they like to be around. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing is you're seeing like all of our colors are the same. Like we don't have random colors. We really pretty much stay within that, grays, whites, silvers, reds, blacks, and then once again it has enough pop to it, so it really kind of stands out.
Yeah, and I have to say, from what I've seen of your school so far, like just the pictures and video inside, it's really clean looking. There's no clutter. Everything is designed really well inside the school to go along with that whole brand concept. And I think from what I've seen, yours is probably one of the best looking martial arts schools that I've seen. Everything looks really, really clean inside as well. So I've been super impressed with that. As far as the social media end goes, you're probably one of my favorite school owners to follow on social media, because a lot of times you post something, whether it's like a meme or whether it's something to do with your classes or the life skills that you're teaching. And I swear there's so many times I think, man, why didn't I think of that? or why isn't somebody else doing this? What's sort of your typical strategy behind your social media presence for your school?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to that cool factor. Like, I'm a huge Nike fan. I love, all the stuff that Nike does. And if you think about it, Nike really kind of elicits a feeling, right? If it's an idea that you buy a shirt that says athlete. Well, what do you feel like? You feel like an athlete when you wear that shirt. And I've always wanted my students to have a pride and a feeling of the academy and of myself and of the staff and the team and everybody else. And so everything I feel has to be kind of, it has to all fall in that same line. So, really what I want is I want one message. I don't want convoluted messages where all of a sudden they feel like, man, this doesn't really fit with what goes on with the image of the academy. Things of that nature. I always take, I think like, everybody has their things they're really good at. For me, I've always had the ability, because I've been in customer service. I've been in customer service ever since I've ever, done this. I mean, I started, helping with my instructor when I was 12 years old as a black belt. I mean, that's all I've ever been taught is like, we have to treat the students and the families these certain ways. So I think that's really kind of what I have everything is circles around. So like if I go to a restaurant and I get great service, I'm like, okay, well, how can I take this great service and apply it to my business? Okay. If I go to a sports arena and I'm like, oh man, like why am I not thinking of that? We took my wife to the Atlanta Braves game a few weeks ago, and I'm like, we were going to bring our gloves because the kids and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, it'd be so great if they actually had a place where you could rent gloves or maybe buy gloves. And like, the Braves Stadium is one of the newest ones out there. And they did. They had like a kiosk you could go inside and you could rent a glove. And if you like the glove, you could buy the glove. And I'm like, man, like, somebody's thinking about those things. So that's kind of where I put my mind at. I always think about like, what my clients like, not what I would like. And I know that's one of those things that's hard, especially, for us as owners of our business or maybe lead instructors, is that, you really get to, make all the rules. But I never wanted to put myself in that position. I always wanted them to feel like, that they're part of the team, not just, on the team. And so that's kind of my mindset. I try to find every opportunity I can, whether it's Disney or Starbucks or going to a theater, and I ask myself, like, what could be the cool thing I could do that would be applied to my business that would have that same feel.
I think that's super important to remind ourselves of too as entrepreneurs. And you definitely, I can tell from your response, you have that entrepreneur like seed in your brain that's always thinking about how can I better my business. And I think one thing that we have to remind ourselves though as school owners, I'm just talking about in general here, is a lot of times we forget that it's about what the customer wants, and we get so focused on, I would like this for a school, or I would like this, and then forgetting to go back to thinking about what the customer wants. And I think that's so important of running a successful business, is that you always go back to that question. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, the one part about that I really, I got 3 kids. I've got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, 2 girls and a boy. And then, My my lens for life was always like, other kids, come in, this is what the class is, this is the time it's going to be, and you better be on time. And then all of a sudden I realized when you have kids, you want to be on time. Your goal is to be on time, but it just may not be that you're on time. I know that our 4 and 5 year old program is a 30-minute class. Our goal is that we're trying to build their focus, not test it. So, we want them to leave class wanting more. So, when my kids are in that program, my wife's like, dude, it takes me 30 minutes to get the kids there for a 30-minute class. And I remember that. And I'm like, okay, so what can I do to change the experience for all my other clients? But, honestly, I didn't know that until, my wife would tell me about that. So I think that's important. I think that, my kids playing sports and doing gymnastics, and they do martial arts. My 2 oldest are black belts. My youngest one's a brown belt. And I'm in the world. I'm out there in other activities. And you know how it is. You have great experiences in other activities, and you have experiences you're like, well, are my clients saying this about me? So I've really tried to watch both sides of the fence on that.
That's awesome. So can I ask you, what did you do to remedy the 30-minute prep time to get ready for a 30-minute class?
So one, I'll tell you what we did is we'll have our belt exams for our 4 and 5 year olds. I know it sounds kind of funny, but we the 30-minute class and the 15 minutes to get here and 15 minutes afterwards. So what we do is we just call it arrival games. And what we do is we create an obstacle course for the 4 and 5 year olds. It's set up 15 minutes before the class. So now the class is technically 45 minutes because the kids get to come in. We just have a bunch of stuff, man. We have balance beams and dots and things they can jump over and roll under. And we have some lively music. And honestly, that allows them to burn off a little bit of energy before they walk into class and just have to stand still and do what I ask. So that's one thing that we did. So it kind of almost extended the class, although it's not teaching time, it's not technical time. It is interaction time. We get a chance to kind of, so much of our lessons are always yes sir, no sir, and train. This allows us to kind of be people to our students also. I can ask them, they watch any cartoons that day, how was school? It gives us some interaction for that. So that's just one small thing that I've done.
And sort of staying on the obstacle course thing, I saw over the weekend, I can't remember which Tiger Rock school posted it, but they posted an obstacle course that they had set up in a big field, and even the obstacle course matched your guys' branding. Everything was black and red. There's Tiger Rock logos on one of the walls they climbed up. It was crazy impressive. And then right away I started thinking man, for people that are unfamiliar with that school and that are going through the obstacle course or in that park, I'm like, what does that say about how professional that school is?
Absolutely. Brand awareness is one of those things. Is that we learned this a long time ago when we went from kind of a licensing company into a franchise. One thing that happens is a lot of us, as we age as instructors, so if it was Jason Griffin's martial arts, right, then they always expect to see Jason Griffin teaching the class. So technically, you never have a way out. I remember a long time ago, people would drive up, and if they didn't see my car outside, they wouldn't come to class. I'm so that was a whole disconnect between what that is. Now, it doesn't matter if I took the last 2 weeks off. I went on vacation. We went to our World Championships. I came back in. The guys did 29 memberships last week, 38 students. Wow. And some people have never met me before. So because of that, the ability to be a franchise, all those things change. Everything, it becomes less about me and more about the experience. It becomes more about the team, so that now I can sit back. I'm definitely not in a retiring age. I love what I do. I love teaching my guys, but I also don't have to be on the floor teaching everything every day. And that's what the franchise allowed us to do. And it's neat that you see that, because big picture thinking, 10 years down the road, where do you want to be at? A lot of times we just see, testing cycle to testing cycle. Isn't it amazing right now that 2017 is almost halfway done? We're 3.5 months until Christmas. It's crazy that it flies by so fast. And sometimes you'll turn around, you'll be 10 years into your career, and you're going to want some days off and some time off. And once again, to me, that's where the franchise model for us has just been so successful. is that everything it's just plug and play, man. It's like grabbing a disc and putting it in your computer or downloading it, and you don't have to do anything. It's just it works for you. So very cool.
That's awesome.
That was our Colorado guys.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was super impressed with that, and I sort of think of it being a little funny that an obstacle course impressed me that much, but it's like, I think especially in the martial arts world, that brand consistency is missing. So you guys are killing it on that. Sort of staying on the topic of marketing. I know there's so many different opinions out there on marketing for martial arts schools. Facebook is really big right now. What would you guys say has been your most successful thing that you guys have been doing marketing wise for your schools?
Honestly, marketing for me, I mean, that's the one thing I feel like it's you're always hitting a moving target. It's so frustrating. Like I'll run a campaign and it may be on Facebook or maybe a more internal, and it's always hit and miss. Like I think that like truly for us, we have a lot more seasonal activities, that go on. Like baseball's a season, but martial arts is kind of a I can always stop and come back kind of feel. So honestly, I think the biggest thing that I've done is happy students. I think if my students are happy and they leave on a happy note, they'll come back. I've been here in Mississippi now for 21 years. So I've had people. I had a guy come in the other day and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Griffin, you remember me?" I'm like, no. Like, he's 8 years old. Now he's like 24. He had like a full beard. He's like, like 6'3". But when he said his name, I was like, oh man, I remember you. And it's cool because I got a lot of people that, whenever they leave, I want them to always feel like they want to come back or they can come back if the season of life changes. And then because of that, you add that times 20 years, times thousands of members you've done. Just in the culture in my town, they know who I am. They know when it's time for martial arts. They want to come train with me. And I think that's it. Besides that, I want them to have top of mind, and that's where I think my social media presence is important. And then the biggest thing also I think is that martial arts is my vehicle. I do believe that that this is like my calling in my life. But I think the biggest thing is like the life skills that we teach. Like I want them to learn how to work hard. I want them to learn how to be a good teammate. I want them to learn how to what does love look like in class? Like love looks like I appreciate you. Love looks like if you fall down, I help you up. Like all those things that go along, and then that just I really believe that I personally would want to belong to that, and I think that other people feel the same way also. So I think that's probably my biggest thing, like marketing wise. I mean, we stay out there. We're getting ready for back to school right now, so a lot of our stuff is gonna be back to school driven. But those have been our big things. Now, as far as like fun things, I did a Ninja Warrior night. Some of you may not know my school. My building is 12,000 square feet. I've got my main floor downstairs. It's funny, like my lobby is the size of my first location. I think that's how funny it is. So, the main floor is downstairs. We have exposed ceilings. So I've got rings. So like we can do like monkey bar rings. We've got gymnastics mats, things like that. I've got a full tumbling floor upstairs, a spring floor that's about 2,800 square feet. And I've even got an indoor rock climbing gym. I got a bouldering gym that I put in about 4 years ago. So, like, we did a Ninja Warrior class. I think at like 275 people, I stopped counting. It was like one of the most ridiculous things ever. That was a huge night. And we got a bunch of leads off that and then just kind of have worked those leads throughout the years. And you know how it is. Whenever they're ready for martial arts, they've been here, they've seen me, and that kind of stuff from there.
That's crazy. 275 kids. That's more than most schools have, like, just in students.
It was. You should see my staff's eyes. Are like they're still like it was like a Black Friday. Like there was a line outside the door. Of course, I had to take like video stuff and like like, hey, check what's going on today, right? Like when I had that opportunity, I wanted to seize it because how often do you see lines outside of martial arts schools, right? I'm like that. So I took this video and then like I posted it, like, man, this is the place to be. And then just how it is. It just kind of continues to snowball for you at that time.
One of the things that sort of resonated with me that you said is teaching love in your school and just caring about the students. And I think a lot of times that's missed in martial arts schools because they get so focused on marketing or hitting the numbers for the month that we forget just to give a crap about the people that are in your school, like legitimately care. And I think that definitely attributes to the culture in your school as well. Part of the reason why you have such a positive culture in your school. And I think if you can have that culture in your school, that makes the marketing that much easier.
Absolutely. Buyer's remorse is a real thing. And if you bring me in and you let my kid try classes out, and then like hey, here's some water, here, have a seat, here's our schedule. And then all of a sudden, you get the deal, and like you just get pushed into classes, and like that's like such a disconnect. People see that, like they saw it. You only cared because that. I think I think that we have the most unique business out there. And when my kids go to school, they don't get to pick who their teacher is. They're just going to be in Miss class or Miss whoever's class. But when you train martial arts, you get to go and pick your instructor. And you need to make sure that your values and everything else that like you want for your child line up with that person. And when they see that and they feel that, once again, you could see it and it could be a great, if your ad content just looks great and you go into a terrible school, like that's like smoke and mirrors. Yep. And so once again, the congruency of all those things have to match. And for anybody out there that's kind of searching for that, like to me, that's what I have. Like I've got people in our organization that have been in business 20 years longer than I have. So I get their experience, and then they get my youth and my vitality and how they would market 35 years ago is not how I market now. So I get to contribute, and then I also get the wisdom from somebody else that helps me keep the traditional values that martial arts was focused on and built around. So what's up?
That's great, man. Now, sort of going back to that huge event that you had 275 people, you have to have an amazing staff to be able to handle a group that big without it turning into chaos. I've seen some of your staff training, at least the videos that you've posted online, and I've been really impressed with it. What would you say is your main focus when you're trying to develop someone as an instructor?
Yeah, so my main focus on developing instructors, I remember this was like right when I had kids. I'm like, if I don't teach what I know, then I'm never going to get any free time. So I remember that as being one of my pivot points, that like I need to not just teach them how to teach classes, but like get them to understand like why we do stuff. And so when I think about staff training, I always think about this, like, even the example of the guy that came in 20 years ago, like he was like telling me, hey, do you remember that time that you made me do this? I'm like, no, I don't remember that time. Like as you get older, you forget all kinds of stuff. But like my staff for a little bit, my staff in general, of course, being a little bit younger and things like that, they haven't been around, or they have been around, but they don't understand the impact we make. So my goal always on day one is to I tell stories of like, my experiences of my instructor and what the impact that he's made in my life. And I'm like, that's what your job is. You're going to make the impact in some kid's life that's going to change the trajectory of them for the rest of their life. And if I get them to buy into that, and I get them to understand, like, because you know how it is. It seems like nowadays kids are less focused, less unathletic. So you're getting a lot more, like you don't get the awesome kid anymore, right? You don't get the superstar athlete as much. So, it's a little bit more, wearing on you as you teach. So I need them to realize that, like, hey, listen, you're investing in a kid that's going to turn around in 3 years from now, be an amazing kid because you invested. And if I can get them to buy into that, the next time I tell them, hey, listen, you should have taught it this way, or you should have said it this way, then I just relate that to the fact, hey, listen, if they quit, if we do something that makes them stop training, they don't enjoy it as much, they're not having fun anymore, then what's going to happen is we're not going to be able to have the impact in that person's life that we could have had, and that's why we're going to change this. That's why we're not going to say it that way. That's why when we put a class planner together, it has to be systemized. You can't just teach random stuff whenever you want to. And then they buy into the bigger picture. So that's always what I do. When I have an instructor, I need them to buy into a bigger picture. And once they buy into the bigger picture, then when I'm asking them to change a habit or to do things differently, they understand the why.
That's awesome. Now, as you're training someone, let's say you have someone brand new to teaching, what are some of the most important qualities that you try and focus on bringing out of that person?
The nice thing is once again, I look back at our franchise and we have a set level of curriculum. Like it's designed for us. It's done for us. It's also because as an instructor, once again, you only teach what you know. So if they already know the material, so I've got that kind of pushed away. That's easy. So then if I just teach them how to communicate, and so that'll be our biggest thing is like, less is more. I'm a big believer that like all of your processes have to be very simple. It has to be so easy that like you could take somebody, train them for a month, and then they're good to go. Like you don't have to worry about them anymore. There's going to be continuing education for them, but like they can handle the job. So I think that it's like very simple things, and then it's very easy ways to communicate, and that you just kind of always constantly evaluate yourself. I think like I have a staff meeting for all of my guys, my Denver guys, and things like that. Every Monday, and that's just kind of our game plan meeting, and I'll give them some insight and some things like that, or like, hey, listen, let's make sure that this is getting taught this week, or are you having any questions about X, Y, or Z on the floor? But then I spend time with them about like communicating, like, listen, okay, motivate me and encourage me to take the test. Our testing, for example, is coming up on next week. So right now, our theme for that testing is that we need to install confidence. Like, what does that mean to install confidence? And we'll just spend time talking about that. And then once again, with 7 or 8 guys on the phone, we'll once again, iron sharpens iron. You get a chance to get a different perspective and a different lens, and that's it. And then we just disseminate that down. I have a closed group for all of my instructors. So if there's anything that's like, massively important, I'll make sure that gets done. And then the last thing is, honestly, like, I still teach classes. Like, I'm a little bit less in the operational stuff in the day. But what I do is I still love teaching classes at night. So a lot of my instructors are in there actually watching me teach classes and things like that. So at the end of the night, we'll spend 5 minutes and we'll talk about that day and we'll move on from there.
Awesome. One person that I tend to follow on social media is Gary Vee, which I know he's become really popular lately. One of the things I love that he does with his employees, and he actually posts videos of it, is he's always talking about what their future is going to be, what their goals are, and the opportunity for growth. How often do you talk to your staff about the future and about growth?
Honestly, I think it just weaves itself into all of our conversations. Even for last night, I talked about, hey, listen, our topic last night was this: is that like because of the more experience I have and teaching students longer, is it like a lot of times that I'm pretty hardcore. But like my expectations are a little bit higher. I always feel that like whatever you ask, you get. So if I ask you to kick at, hip level, you're probably going to give me a little bit less than that. If I ask you to kick head level, you're probably going to get hip level. Now, what I'm wanting is I just want the best version of you possible. So that was my goal with those guys last night. And then I use those growth patterns for everything. Like, if you're growing as a martial artist, how are you growing as a business person? We talk about all the hats we wear. A lot of my guys, one has a wife, one has a girlfriend of like 3 years. I'm like, you should strive to be a better, husband. You should strive to be this. And then just using all those things and applying it to everything that we do. Like, I want to be a better businessman, a better boss, a better instructor. I want to be a better student to my instructor. I want to be a better, father to my kids. I mean, I thought about all the hats that I wear. It gets a little bit weighty sometimes, but yeah, we weave that stuff in everything that we do. So
that's awesome, man. So now I want to sort of move to what we call some of our quickfire questions, if you're cool with that. What's the one book or audio book that you would recommend to everyone to go listen to right now?
Oh my goodness, like I hate audiobooks and I don't read. I'm gonna be that one guy that's like, no, I don't do it. Now the funny thing is, I only live like 3 miles from the school. So, like, I just listen to music. Like, that's just what I do. Now, I am, this probably will turn a little bit different here, but, like, I'm, obviously, I'm a deacon in our church. Faith is involved in every aspect of my life. I listen to a lot. I'm talking a lot of, like, church podcasts. I listen to Stephen Furtick, who does sermons. I listen to Matt Chandler, who's in Texas, who's one of, like, the most biblically sound teachers that you've ever listened to. I listen to Andy Stanley out of North Point, Craig Rochelle. That's where, if I'm going to listen to something, if I'm going to do something, that's where everything falls for me.
Excellent. What's your favorite martial arts movie?
Let's see.
Don't say you don't watch movies.
No, I love movies. Now that is an absolute thing. If the movies came out, trust me, I have seen it on opening weekends. Me and my wife have date night every Friday or Saturday night, depending on what our schedule's like. And we go to a movie, we go to dinner. But martial arts wise, I loved all the Ip Man movies. Those were all fantastic. I loved Jackie Chan's Drunken Masters. Like those are just really funny. I'm waiting for my kids to be old enough to kind of understand that, because I think that they would just enjoy the comedy that Jackie Chan did. And then I remember when Tony Jaa came out, man, like all of his knees and elbows and all of his flying around. Like I think those are probably like a mixture of what I like there.
All right, awesome, man. Yeah, Ip Man is great. That's one of my favorite movies as well. I remember Tony Jaa, when I left seeing The Protector for the first time. It was like the only time in my life I hope someone attacked me so I could use a bunch of knees and elbows.
Like a flying double knee to someone's chest, right?
Yes.
That's it. That's awesome.
I would have probably failed miserably, though, but it's all right. So I know you're a music guy. Let's say you're stranded on a desert island. You have to listen to one song for the rest of your life. What song do you pick?
Oh my goodness, one song for the rest of my life. Thinks like like it's eventually not gonna. Our guy, they had a like you had to sit in a car, and you sat in the car the longest that like you would you'd win it. And like it had gone by for like a week and a half, and they started playing like that song Dankeschön, and because they're trying to drive everybody. I think that like whatever song I choose is gonna make me regret it. All right, let's go with Christian group Mercy Me. I Can Only Imagine.
Okay, nice. They're a great group. I listen to them as well. What music do you typically listen to?
A lot of Christian. I listen to country. Of course, growing up and when I grew up, I love rap. Like I've always loved rap. I listen to that when I work out in the mornings. I listen to pretty much everything. If there's anything out there, trust me, it's probably in my phone.
Nice. As far as training goes, what's the one piece of training equipment that you can't live without?
Oh, dude, this is funny. Okay, it's going to be my wife. Honestly, my wife has been training for 19 years. We work out every Tuesday and Thursday morning. She comes in and she works out a couple nights in the evenings. And I love the bond we have. I love the fact that she loves what I love. And, man, I like there's times we'll just come in and work out by herself. Like, hey, you got nothing to do? Let's go work out. So she is so fun to work out with. And then she makes me work hard, too.
That's awesome. I would not have guessed that answer in a million years. But that's great, dude. That's awesome.
I'm gonna get some brownie points today also, so I'm gonna make sure she listens to this at some point.
Great answer. All right. And then what would you say is the one thing that's missing from the martial arts industry right now?
Missing from the industry, honestly, I think that like sometimes we take ourselves too serious. Like our rank gets in the way. The fact that we're commanding everybody to say yes sir and go do this and go run here and go do that, that we just take ourselves too serious. Like we feel like that it's all business. Like I think you can go the opposite direction and just be like a fun playtime zone. But if you have a set of classes and they don't work as hard that day, like you can't let it follow you home. If you have a kid that comes in and quits on you, you can't take that home for you. I think that sometimes maybe seeing bigger and not taking yourself so seriously, especially if you got a lot of rank. I think that may be something that would help everybody out.
That's awesome, man. Hey, I really appreciate you taking time to join us. You had a lot of great information that I think school owners can sort of go back and use and assess and sort of take a look at their branding also and make sure it's congruent with each other. But yeah, we really enjoyed having you on the show, and we're excited to have you on. And just thank you for taking the time out, Jason.
Man, hey, thank you. I appreciate you, bud.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Another special shout out to Jason Griffin for taking time to share his insight with us. And I just love what he's doing at his school. If you're not Facebook friends with him, I'd encourage adding him as a friend so you can just see some of the videos of things that are going on in his school. You will learn a lot. You'll get a lot of ideas at the same time. Next, I want to go to our Punch in the Face segment.
Now it's time to take a punch in the face.
And this is a perfect name for the segment, especially for the story that I went through that I want to share with you. So if you don't know my martial arts background, I've been training since the age of 3, primarily in Hapkido, Tangsudo, and Kabuto. Those are the 3 styles that I've trained in pretty much my whole life. Well, in an effort to step outside my comfort zone, I started training in BJJ. So I'm officially a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I started going to my classes with the white belt on, trying to get in that white belt mindset. And as soon as I got in class, my goal was I was trying to sort of prove myself. I wanted to show that I'm not just a white belt. I've learned other things. So I was always trying to win. And if I was paired up with a blue belt, I wanted to win the position battle. I wanted to get them to submit. And that was my goal, to show them that I didn't just waste 30 years of training to not know how to do anything. And you know what? In the first few weeks of class, I was doing really well. I was tapping out the other white belts in my class. I was winning the position battles we would do with other blue belts and purple belts, and I felt pretty confident in myself. Then one morning I went to class, and the instructor didn't show up. And it was sort of a rare thing, but one of the brown belts decided that he would go ahead and get class started and everything. And the instructor wasn't there, so he decided we're going to do 45 minutes of rolling, and we're going to do 6-minute rounds. Now, I've never rolled for 45 minutes straight in my life, so I had no idea what to expect. But the first person I was paired up with was the brown belt leading the class. So I had that same mentality going in, that, man, I gotta show him that I'm not just some punk white belt. And I started rolling with him, and within 15 seconds, choked me out. And I tapped right away. Didn't get knocked out or anything, but I tapped right away. Well, as the rolling continued on for 6 minutes, I got choked out and tapped out more in that 6 minutes than I have in my entire life. Like literally 15 times I must have got tapped out in that first round. Now, I was exhausted at the end of this first round, and there were still 39 minutes left of rolling. So my next person I went with was his blue belt. And I was like, well, he's a blue belt. I'll be able to take him. Started, I was doing pretty good. I got choked harder than I've ever been choked in my life by this blue belt. Like legit, where I had trouble swallowing for almost a week. Like it felt like I had strep throat for a week after I sparred with him because of how hard I got choked. And this continued on the rest of the class, where I was getting joint locks and chokes thrown on me left and right and tapped out. And I remember leaving the school, and I was pissed off. Like, I was so mad. I was like, how could these brown belts and higher belts be tapping me out so quickly and being so ruthless to me when I'm new at this? They should be giving me pointers and helping me out and helping me get better. And like, I was legit mad to the point where it's like, I don't even know if I'm gonna go back to this place. I'm like, they disrespected me, and man, I don't even know if I want to go back and deal with this again. Plus, I had the neck injury thing going on. So I went out of town for about a week, came back, and while I was out of town, I did a lot of reflecting and sort of thinking back on what had happened. And the problem with my mindset was I was relying too much on what I know. And what you know is only going to get you where you are right now. It's what you don't know that's going to get you where you want to be. And I was not thinking like that. I was thinking, I have 30 years of experience. I'm a black belt. I should be able to do this, instead of thinking, you have 30 years of experience in something that has nothing to do with this, and you need to shut up, be a white belt, and learn. And that's the mindset that I should have had going into it. So my first class back, I went in with a new mindset. I was a clean slate, and I was like, I don't know crap. I'm going to try and learn from every single person today. And my goal in this class is I just want to get better at one thing. I don't care about winning. I don't care if I get choked out 1,000 times. I just want to get better at one thing this class. And I'll tell you, the end of that class felt worlds of difference from the other classes. I felt like I'd progressed more in that hour than I had in the previous 3 weeks combined. I felt that what I learned, I retained way longer than what I learned in the other classes. And it was all because of my mindset. And I think a lot of times, with us being in the martial arts for so long and being black belts for so long, we forget to go back into that white belt mentality and to not challenge every single thing that we're told, but just to shut up and listen and try and get better. And that's what we need to focus on, not only with our martial arts training, but with our business as well. We don't know everything. Everything that we know, we don't even put into action. So most cases, we just need to shut up and be a white belt and learn and ask the right questions that are going to help us to learn and implement and grow. And that's my challenge for you guys this week. So I hope you guys have learned something from this podcast. I do want to, before we end, I just want to announce to make sure you go to our Facebook page. we just released a new set of drills that we call our Level Up Fighting Championship. These are interactive audio drills, and this is unlike anything else in the industry. It's going to challenge your students and at the same time provide an amazing classroom experience for them where they're going to feel like they're in the octagon. There's sound effects for their strikes, and we created different modes to help with combination training, pad training, forms, and we tested this out with a lot of our clients, and some of the feedback we got back was that it creates a Disney-like experience in your school. I also heard from a school owner that they've never seen more parents with their cameras out during a portion of class as when they ran these drills. So I'm really excited for you guys to check this out. Our normal price on these drills is gonna be $49.97. Our special through the end of this week for Fight Week, it's $9.97. If you're already one of our clients, though, you're going to get it for free. But if you're not a Level Up client, it's $9.97 until the end of the fight on Saturday night. As soon as that fight ends, the special is off. So I would take advantage, go do it right now. And we give you guys a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it, if your students don't like it, shoot me a message, email us, and we'll personally refund your money for you. But I'm just confident that it's going to create a whole new atmosphere in your school and that you guys are going to love it. So check it out. Thank you guys for joining us on the lounge. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
LevelUpMyMusic.com. Level Up Music, the #1 music streaming service for martial arts schools. Get clean, family-friendly, motivating music mixes that your students and parents will love. It's so easy to use. All you need is a phone, tablet, or computer with an internet connection, and you're ready to start streaming. Upgrade the atmosphere in your school. Get started today.